the 11th of October 1988, a complicated transport job was successfully accomplished. It all started in the small Dutch village of Goes in the west of the Netherlands. A giant absorption column, 72 meters long and 6 meters in diameter, needed a permanent home. But before it could start out on its 150-mile journey to that home in the southeast of the country, it had to be jacked up and fixed onto heavy-duty wheeled dollies. The absorption column, fabricated completely from stainless steel, was built by AKF. It will form the essential component in a new saltpeterzuur, or nitric acid plant, at the chemical works of Dutch multinational DSM in Urmond. This 420 tons of complex chemical engineering hardware would require to be jacked up, rolled to water, transported by canal to the nearest offloading point, unloaded, and transported by road to the site. Only then would installation actually be able to begin. For this complex transport and erection project, one of the leading specialists in the Netherlands, van Seumeren Holland, was called in. After the load had been jacked up to a height of 1.2 meters, some of the latest self-propelled transporters were maneuvered under the transport saddles. These computer-controlled, all-wheel steering Demag dolly transporters offer remarkable maneuverability to large loads, something that would be required on this journey. Standard 2, 4 or 6 axle units can be coupled side by side or in line. Payloads of up to 4,000 tons can be transported in this way. All axles have hydraulic suspension. The load is distributed equally over all the wheels. The average ground loading for a fully loaded transporter must not exceed 6.5 tons per square meter or some 1,500 pounds per square foot. Tractive power is developed by separate hydraulic diesel power packs connected to the front of the transporters. The hydraulic motors built into the wheel rims of the axles transfer the driving power to the road surface. 44 tons of tractive power is developed by a 300 horsepower diesel engine, giving this loaded transporter a speed of 6 kilometers an hour. Individual transporters can be carried in both 20-foot and 40-foot standard containers. This ensures quick and efficient mobilization around the world. Due to the enormous dimensions and huge weight of the column, it could not be transported the whole route by road. On Monday, the 3rd of October, the column was rolled onto a special barge and secured for the river and canal trip to the town of Urmond. With a width of 9.5 meters, it would just pass through the locks at Goes. The water journey would take the column via the eastern Scheldt and the river Meuse to the Juliana Canal. Unloading would take place 7 kilometers from the installation site. The drive-on pontoon Lastdrager 19 was selected, as it and its cargo would then just pass under all the bridges across the inland waterways. Their height above water is a meager 7.2 meters. 3 days after leaving Goes, the barge and column arrived at the roll-off quay in something like bad weather. Preparations were made to land the floating giant. With the water level 2.2 meters below the level of the road, detailed trim and stability calculations were necessary to avoid beaching or jamming the column while unloading. Extra side pontoons were fitted to provide sufficient lift to the bow. The steel ro-ro ramps were fitted, and Friday afternoon, around 1 o'clock, the transport combination with a gross vehicle weight of 550 metric tons started moving slowly onto the quay. Now, the Demag self-propelled transporters proved their value. Under full power, the combination slowly climbed against the 13% slope of the ro-ro ramps. That same afternoon and night, the rear and front transport dollies were shifted to other positions to enable the combination to negotiate the narrow curves and bends in the remaining part of the route. Early Saturday morning, the 72-meter-long combination rolled away from the waterside. Even with the transport dollies more than 60 meters apart, the first turn was negotiated without problems. The local authorities had arranged the removal of lampposts, traffic signs, and other road furniture. Again, the unrivaled maneuverability of the computer-steered Demag transporters helped the von Seumeren crew through these narrow streets. At 9 o'clock, the main highway was successfully crossed. The preparation of such a complicated project starts on the drawing board, when a team of engineers, after a visit to the job site, prepares a detailed plan. Based on these drawings, the job superintendent, together with the required skilled riggers, carries out the project in question. Planning and drawing activities are supported by both existing computer programs and those developed in-house. Von Seumeren Holland is the company specialized in such complex projects. With the largest fleet of cranes in the Netherlands, combined with the latest technology self-propelled transporters, jacking and skidding equipment, they can offer their clients complete services on a worldwide basis. Lifting and transport services for the petrochemical industry, paper mills, shipyards, steelworks, offshore, civil and dredging industry, and many others are the main activity areas of von Seumeren. With branch offices in various industrial areas of the Netherlands, in Belgium and France, and agents in England and the USA, they can ensure all complex transport services to customers everywhere.
Ja, makkelijk. Makkelijk, ja, makkelijk. Gooi je maar heen, je bent er al voorbij.
On site, two 500-ton mobile cranes were mobilized and rigged with 60 meters of main boom. Before the column arrived under crane hook, it had to be moved underneath a pipe rack with a zero head clearance. On Monday morning, the storm calmed down and preparations were made for the erection of the 420-ton column. The foundations were leveled and both Demag TC-3000 cranes were connected to the lifting trunnions of the column. All von Seumeren cranes are inspected by state-appointed experts every year. In addition to this, there is von Seumeren's own safety department, which is responsible for safety aspects as well as quality standards. As tail crane, von Seumeren used a 300-ton Demag TC-3000 crawler crane. To avoid any overloading, an angle measuring instrument was fitted at the tail beam. With this instrument, the horizontal level of both lifting trunnions could be monitored during the entire operation. In order to meet the lifting criteria of DSM and Dutch labor inspection, Both cranes were rigged with 60 meters of main boom and 50 tons superlift. This resulted in a maximum lifting capacity of 290 tons per crane at 9.5 meters radius, well within 75% of the rated lifting capacity. With a boom length of only 60 meters, it meant though that the column had to be swung in between both boom heads when it reached its vertical position. Under expert supervision of von Seumeren's rigging superintendent, the column was gently lifted out of the saddles of the transport dollies. In a 1-hour continuous operation, the giant column was slowly lifted into the vertical. With only 10 centimeters clearance, the column was swung between both boom heads. Suspended by two 500-ton Demag cranes, the column was slowly and precisely lowered onto its foundation bolts.
Okay, nul staat.
A well-engineered and complex transportation and erection project was completed. DSM's absorption column was in its new home.